Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming in person. Thank you so much for coming online. We're going to start by ushering in the holiday with a treasured member of our Homeless Action Committee, Alex. Please, Madonic is going to come up and shake our lulav and bring us into the holiday.
Welcome guests, welcome Kehilah members, welcome friends. Chag Sameach. We're celebrating Sukkot. Some of us have the good fortune to do this at home too, but it's really great to be here in the community. And I guess I really have to eat the mic. That's how these things work, right? Okay. There's another mic out here on the table that'll pick up anybody who speaks up. Hopefully that works too. All right. Well, there's kind of a schizophrenic thing about Sukkot and the whole tradition of the Jewish people wandering, except that Sukkot is a harvest festival. You don't really farm when you're wandering. I'm not sure how that's supposed to work. I mean, the wandering peoples of the desert to this day are herders, and we understand that there was a tradition of keeping tzon, of goats and sheep and bakar, shor and seh, right? So cattle and sheep. And you can do that and wander, but you can't really have an agricultural festival unless you're in one place. So obviously it reflects a somewhat different time and place. And that's more, and we're not in either of those times or places because we're in the city. Some of us have these little gardens, which is nice. So like I said, I have this kind of fragmented image of what the story is supposed to be about. But for sure, it's about having what you need to live, right? You have something to eat. That's pretty basic. And you have shelter, and that's pretty basic. And there are people with us right now who don't have the kind of shelter that most of us prefer. And we're trying to do something about that. That's why we're here, right? Yeah. As I said at the Kehilah retreat a few months ago, it's great being out here in the woods. Imagine if you don't have any place to go home to. It's not quite the same thing. So here we are, and the tradition on Sukkot is that we're supposed to dwell in this temporary shelter, which we call a sukkah. That's why it's called Sukkot. And therefore, the first thing we should say when we dwell in the sukkah is to thank our Creator for commanding us to sit in our sukkah, to have this place of shelter, which allows us to remember what it's like to be in this kind of impermanent world. And so you're actually supposed to lay shave basukkah, which is kind of ambiguous because it also means to sit. So here's the blessing. They all start the same way, right? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu leishev basukkah. So we are sitting in the sukkah, and that's how our blessings work. We thank God for asking us or telling us to do the thing that we're actually doing. So we do it. So here we are doing it. And here we are thinking about what it's like to have shelter and to have sustenance. And therefore, since we're gathered together, many of us have not seen each other in person in quite a while. I think it's appropriate at this festival and any time to say Shehechianu, so let's do that too. So Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam Shehechianu v'kihimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Thank you, God, for bringing us to this place at this time safely. Okay, and now there's this other part of the ritual which connects us specifically with the agricultural tradition, because we're supposed to wave the branches of the goodly trees, and the goodly trees are defined by tradition as being these three. We've got I'm going blank here. We've got our willow, we've got our palm, and we've got our myrtle, and along with those three we have this fruit, this wonderful fruit. 3/8 hadar, so the fruit of the beautiful tree. It's a citron. They smell really good. And I'm actually going to stand for this because there's no way to do this properly unless I'm standing. I'll move over here a little bit. Okay. I've had some weird experiences trying to do things on Zoom and moving around and unplugging everything. So very disconcerting for the people online when the screen goes black. Yeah, okay, so the blessing here is, again, it's very simple. We're commanded to raise the lulav, and we actually do a little bit more than raising it. We do something which is totally analogous or really connected with other indigenous traditions, which is we honor all the directions. So I'm going to shake this lulav in the 6 directions, if you want to think of cardinal directions, which is to say forward, back. If I start by facing east, I'll be shaking east, west, north, south, up, down. And then one of our founding rabbis, David Cooper, came up with an additional tradition, which was to honor the future and the past. And the way we do that was clever. We wave the lulav in an arc to represent another dimension. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to say the blessing now, which is to raise the lulav. That's netilat lulav. And it's actually the same blessing as washing your hands. You raise your hands. That's how you demonstrate that blessing. But here's this one. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam asher kishanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat lulav. And then we turn that citron over, and the little pitome, which is the remains of the flower, goes up. And now we shake it. Up, down. And then we have the future and the past, according to Rabbi David. And everyone is welcome to do this. We've all said the blessing now, so take your turn. Yeah, so bring it on. I'll get that microphone for just one. Oh, it's this way. Yeah.
I hit it from here.
Right, so I was asked to do a land acknowledgement, and I'm afraid I didn't study, but I do know that we are in Huchin. We are on the traditional Ohlone land, and they are still here, and they have graciously welcomed us and are also trying to reestablish their presence here, and we are working with them to do that by paying the Shumi tax and therefore allowing what some are calling rematriation of the land. So we're trying to at least settle some of this land back on the people who were here before us. And of course, land is a big issue, and we're going to hear a lot about land tonight. So I think I'm going to hand the microphone over to the people who are going to tell us what's going on now.
Thanks so much, Alex. Amen. Again, welcome to everyone, and thank you for bringing us into the holiday. I want to mention that one of the big parts of the holiday are guests. We cannot properly observe this holiday without guests, so we are so honored that you all made time out of what was a very difficult day, which we're going to hear more about, that nonetheless you all made time to come here and meet us in our space and speak to us about your experiences. We really appreciate you. Thank you. And I just wanted to set the stage a little bit. When we talk about homelessness, we can't really understand it unless we talk about income disparity and the differences between what people are being paid and what housing costs. Since 2001, the cost of housing, to purchase housing, a home, has gone up 30%. The cost to rent a home, inclusive of utilities, has gone up 15%. but I'm talking all median numbers here. The median number for wage increase has been 3.4%. So it's an ever widening gap into which more and more of our society is falling through the negligence of our government. And we're working at the Homeless Action Committee here at Kehilah on the political piece, on the education piece, as we are tonight, and as we did yesterday with treasured Homeless Action Committee member Devora Gordon and I were at Piedmont Gardens. And so we do education, we do political, and we do direct service to the Wood Street encampment. And I want to put a shout out that everybody can bring things that are needed at the encampment. We have a list on our blog, and that we take those in on the 1st and the 3rd of a week of every month, and then we go out to Wood Street on the 2nd and 4th week of every month to bring what you've brought here to the synagogue out to the people who can use it the best. So that's just a little bit about the bigger picture and what it is we do. I want to turn it over now to our honored guests to introduce themselves, and then we have a few questions that everyone will help to educate us about, and then we'll open it up for question and answers at the end. Let's start with you, Lamante.
Hi, my name is Haksamea. My name is Lamante, and I'm homeless on Wood Street at the Wood Street Commons, and I would like to thank you guys. This is fashioned by this synagogue that you see me wearing right now.
Hello, my name is Lejeune Harper. I'm a Oakland native, born and raised. I'm a single mother, and I've been a Wood Street resident since, for like 7, 8 years. I'm not quite sure, but I've been on the streets since 2012 for sure. I do know that. So, thank you.
Good evening, my name is Moose. I want to say it's a distinct pleasure and an honor to be here in the company of everyone. And I'm currently a resident at Wood Street, and I immigrated to this country when I was a child, 4 years old, and I've been in the Bay Area since, from Oakland, Berkeley, Albany, and last couple of years has been difficult, and I've been in the street and part of this community here at Wood Street.
Hi, my name is John. I'm a Wood Street community member. I've been homeless for about 10 years. I've lived on Wood Street for about 7 years, and I'm honored that you guys asked us to be up here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Talya. My nickname is Boots, and I'm a Kehilah member and the founder and organizer with Love and Justice in the Streets, which is a volunteer organization, and have been connecting with Wood Street residents much more intensely recently, but have in 2017 had the opportunity to meet with Leilani Farah, the Special Rapporteur from the United Nations on the right to adequate housing, and bring her to Wood Street to meet with some residents at that time. And I just want to thank everyone for being a guest. I feel like I'm a guest in your home all the time, rolling in there, and I feel like you're a guest in my spiritual home tonight, so thank you.
So we have a very difficult and unpleasant thing going on at Wood Street right now. Wood Street is the largest encampment in Oakland with between 200 and 300 residents. And rather than me telling about it, I'd love to hear from your perspective. What's going on at Wood Street? Please help educate our community about what's happening.
So currently, there's displacements going on, evictions, with no place to go for the people that were occupying the space in which they're being evicted. This is a push and pull that has been going on for quite some time because no one's really listening to the resolution that Wood Street Community Commons know will work. They ask us questions, they come out, they sit down, and they ask us what we need sometimes. And we tell them, and it falls on deaf ears. So that's what it looks like for me. It's a violent push and pull that erases hope in an area that needs so desperately hope. And we are that hope, you know, for the next person that's coming after us. You see us smiling still now, and trust me, it's not all happiness. But we managed to smile. We managed to get on because we support each other. So that's what it looks like to me. I'll keep it short.
When asked this question, some words came up for me. Flooding, confusion, chaos, hurt, and it's just where the hell are we gonna go right now? They're just pushing us out, and they're being careless and rude, and just, you know, like they have no heart. Like they don't, like we're not people. Monte said he went somewhere and somebody said that it was hard for her to look at us like humans. And so we deal with that a lot. I mean, when you're homeless, you're the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. And all the jackets that get put on us. And so that's why we're being herded like animals.
Recording in progress.
Okay. I had at one point my 15-year-old living with me, but she left and went to a group home, and I'm glad because just her, you know, at one point it was nice there. It was pleasant. We didn't have to go into the normal world too much. Normal world just meaning like, you know, out into society, because we've developed everything that we need there on Wood Street as a community, as most people do on their neighborhoods or their blocks, you know, and then so volunteers helped us and came in and helped us make things better, like our cooking, with giving us like the whole cob on wood thing. And then it was just like, there's a good thing happening down there. We got to get rid of it. Because, I mean, we've been down there so long. It's like, why are they messing with us now that we're trying to actually be good and like make a change and try to be like self-sustainable as a community? Now they want to knock us down. It's like, I don't know. And it's just hard, really hard for me, because I lost a really dear friend this week. He was in a motorcycle accident and then basically pushed out of the hospital, and with 5 broken ribs and one lung that was working at the time. The other one was filled up with blood. And as I got the news that he passed away, his RV was about to get bulldozed. So it's just like, you know, and his dog is like walking around. Like, we can't focus on things like making sure he passes over to the other side, because we have to deal with just this crisis with Caltrans trying to displace the already displaced. So.
Yeah, that's one of the, just to touch on what Jay was saying, one of the issues that people don't think about is a lot of hospitals or health practitioners don't want to help people who are homeless or who come in with torn clothes, or who looks like they've been on the street. So he may have not gotten health care he deserved. say that Wood Street and its members, its community has offered me something that I didn't get with with handouts and clothes and food and such that people offer where people are scattered around where they don't have homes. It's thank you. It's a place where you can come back and see people that were there the day before that aren't going to judge you, that look at you like they understand what you're going through, and it's turned into a community of people who can support each other, whatever their goals are. I mean, there are people who have lost a family member and become homeless, recently immigrated people who become homeless, people who just come out of like institutions like a jail or other health institutions that don't have the resources or tools at the time to go right back into a situation where they can be housed and have a car and go to work every day. And there's a mix of people there who just help each other get through it and solve the needs that they have. And there are people from outside the community, like Boots and everyone that come in to help us and bring us some of the things, fill in the blanks, where they are, and allow us to network and meet people and come out here and talk to your community, which is a beautiful community, just by looking at the people's faces and what you guys have going on here. It's nice to be a part of something. It's nice to look around and see people, whether it's struggle or gain, that you've experienced together, that you feel at home with, and that's what we're trying to do over there, is just help the constant influx of people that are losing their homes find some dignity and find a place where they can be understood. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. So I guess I just want to, touch on what's been going on, so there's a picture of it. Maybe you can understand a little bit more how traumatic it is for the people out there. So I think most of you guys know that about a month ago, there was a restraining order taken off by one of the judges and allowing Caltrans to continue on or to start up with eviction process. And their goal was to get everyone off of Wood Street within 6 weeks, a month and a half, which they managed to do that. So today, we were at Cobb on Wood, 6:30 in the morning, paying respects to Cobb, because we thought today was the day that they were going to come in and they were supposed to just clean everything up and then raise the Cobb up and give us another day or two to be able to move them somewhere. So we had our ceremony. Monty spoke, Socho spoke, Caltrans showed up, and for a minute there was a moment of relief, because they put notices up saying that they had 2 more days before they would do anything over there. So we're like, oh yeah, wow. They have a little bit of compassion. But as soon as they put the notices up, they informed us that they now were going to go over to 34th Street in Mandela and move all those people off that lot. They just got there actually Sunday, and the majority of the people on that lot were just evicted off another lot on Friday, which those people that were evicted on Friday were just evicted off of the 3rd phase and the 2nd phase just a week before that. So within a 2-week period, these people had gone through, 4 evictions. And so me and Sochi and Monty and everybody, we went around there, and when we got there, basically there was 50 highway patrol people. They basically had SWAT stuff on. They had a negotiator at the gate. They wouldn't let anyone in or out. And they had basically lied about what was going to happen at that lot. On Monday, they came and said that everyone could stay, and that on Friday they would put up a notice, and then on Monday, just coming up, then they would be evicted. So everybody was sort of relieved, like, okay, we have a week to figure out where we're going to go next. Then the next day, they decided they changed their plans and said, oh, no one can come in or out of this lot, and if you do leave out, you can't come back in, and if you do decide to come back in, you're going to have to be, the only reason why you come in is to get your stuff and to move out. So later on that evening, after a lot of supporters showed up and cameras and stuff, they said, oh, well, you can come out and use the bathroom. There's going to be a officer posted here for 24 hours just to make sure nobody else comes in. And then today, all of that changes again, and now all those people are basically dispersed onto the street. They cut the lock. They took 3 of us to jail. They got out. Sochi got her wrist sprained, had to take her to the hospital. And now you have all these people on Wood Street that are scattered everywhere, and all these people are scared, hungry, mad, upset. There's no trust that's being built between the city, Caltrans, anyone that says they're going to do anything for us or help us out and stuff. We don't trust any of that. We can help ourselves out. And this has been going on, strongly for the last, I would say, 6 months of evictions and terrorizing people and telling them they had to move. And the thing is that every lot that we go onto that's been empty for the last, I've been out there for 7 years and homeless for 10, all those lots have been empty the majority of the time that we've been out there. There's nothing on those lots, but as soon as we move to those lots, it seems like all of a sudden now they have these grandiose plans to do something on the lot. And we can't stay there. And that's all we hear is that you can't be here, but there's nowhere else that you can be. When we ask them, well, where can we go? What do? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. And basically they're just telling us there's nowhere that we can exist. And that's basically the traumatic part of it, that continually is just poisoning the people out there and giving them no hope. I don't want to make this sadder than what it was, but I want people to understand like the day-to-day activities that we go through, and we do still smile, like Monty and everyone's, we do still laugh and joke and argue and, go on bike rides, cuss each other out for getting each other lost. Then like Jay pops up in Davis out of the blue in her red car. Like, where you been? We're having a great time up there, but yeah, through all of this, we try to smile, but it's to be honest with you, it's really rough. It's really rough out there right now.
So, as a housed person who's never experienced homelessness, I just want to say that I am shocked and disgusted by what I'm seeing from the city and the state. This is violence, and it's unacceptable. And this is about political will. There is land. There are resources. We have choices in our society and in our community, and we have an opportunity to step up and to push back and to support folks who are living every day under the state violence. Today I woke up to emergency phone calls, jumped into my clothing and hobbled out the door in my cast and came down to see over 50 CHP officers surrounding about 12 unhoused community members who were simply trying to exist. This is unacceptable. Mayor Libby Schaaf and Governor Gavin Newsom should be ashamed of themselves. This is unacceptable. There is something really beautiful that I want to also share that's going on, and that's about resistance and resilience and community love and care. And that's what I see whenever I come to Wood Street, is I see a community of care, people caring for each other, people giving to each other whatever they have, and supporting each other. That's not something that many housed people have access to, that same sense of community and care, and that is a beautiful gift. People are organizing, people are resisting, and it's an opportunity for all of us who are living in Oakland to participate, to figure out ways that we can get involved. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but I think to just fill in a little bit around what's going on at Wood Street, this, for people who haven't been there, it's many neighborhoods, I would say, together that are on different pieces of land. Some of the land is owned by the state, that's Caltrans land. Some of it's owned by the city, and some of it's owned by BNSF Railroad, and some of it's owned by private corporations like Game Changers, which is being leased by the city of Oakland. So all of these neighborhoods are connected to each other. and community members across land barriers are in community with each other. And so these different state agencies are coming and enforcing violence without any solutions. We are wasting millions of dollars terrorizing people and pushing people with nowhere to go and with no solution. The amount of money that I witnessed today being wasted on CHP officers standing around to enforce and threaten, that money could be housing people. So it's outrageous, and we need to be pushing back. I want to let Naomi ask the next question, and then we'll come back to some of the solutions or ideas.
Thank you for all of those very insightful and articulate answers. Thank you very much. I want to support what was said there about our city resources, that we are spending millions of dollars in Oakland, but we're spending it to chase people from one place to another without any sort of long-term plan. And I also want to bring up one of the very common myths, which was that Moose alluded to, that people fall off of the economic precipice for a number of precipitating factors. Could be coming out of the hospital, could be coming out of jail, could be mental health or substance use. All of those issues happen in the housed community and the unhoused community, and it's the fact that we have pushed people to the edge economically that we're seeing these issues force people into homelessness. Homelessness is a housing problem, not a problem of individual failing, but of our systemic policy and political issues. And when they say they're being pushed off the land, we want to be really clear that the city, none of those 4 agencies that Talya spoke of, are offering sufficient housing in alternative, in direct flagrant disregard of the 2018 ruling by the Supreme Court, Martin versus City of Boise, that says that if you're not going to allow people to camp on public land, then you must offer shelter. And Oakland is not doing that, and California is not doing that. And so we have some things in the chat and on the handouts here in person about who you can contact on the city council and the mayor to let your outrage be known. Our next question is, what would you see, both in the short and the long term, what do you see, I just lost the exact wording, what would you like to see moving forward for yourself and the Wood Street community in the short and in the long term? Do we want to start with you, John, since we started this on last time?
Short term, stop the evictions. Like, let people, give them a break, give them a minute to breathe. This group of people up here right now, we have great things that are in the works that we try to maintain on a day-to-day basis, but there's always that threat of eviction, so it's hard. We're not really sure if you're going to be on a chopping block next. We're sort of blessed to be on the land that we're on right now, just because it seems like we're probably last on the chopping block when it comes down to eviction, so we've been able to create some things there that helps out, the rest of the community. And sort of supports them, sort of like part of the foundation for them. I just want eviction to stop short term. Long term, I hope that we can partner with enough people out there in the community, and maybe some of these other agencies, but probably not, just rather partner with community members that appreciate and are for what we're doing, to create a stable environment for people to be able to come to and get some footing. That requires a piece of land and a little bit of money, honestly, so we can have a community that's self-sufficient and is out there really trying to do the things that the people that we elect are supposed to be doing, looking out for their community. So I hope in the long term that we'll be able to acquire a big piece of land and be able to show people out there how it's really supposed to be done when you talk about being a community.
Yeah, definitely. Short term is to stop persecuting people for not having a home. Long term is take advantage of modern floor plans for housing. I mean, there's a lot of alternatives to, sprawling yards and projects, city projects. There's also a lot of creative uses for things that are, thrown out or that, how do I say this? Don't have their full lifespan. Like as far as materials and things go. And we know from experience that there's a lot that you can do with what people aren't using or people are marginalizing, I guess, like their materials and things. So there are ways to provide intermediate or long-term housing for people instead of what's happening now is a system of short-term programs which pick you up from where you've been established and put you through a few like routine places like intermittent housing, like hotels or something, and then after a month or two, they spit you right back out, and you've lost your established residence or wherever you had been. The community has been dispersed, and you start all over again, like a seed in the wind. So, what we want to do is provide or offer suggestions and solutions, and speak to our neighbors and communities more about developing areas that people can have intermittent or healing spaces at times for just being indoors and housed and taking care of each other instead of being swept to the side.
Short-term goals, I think one is just really pushing that Oakland's community recognizes us as residents as well. We're not going anywhere. We're not going to poof and disappear. Also, and I always say this, but the face of homelessness has changed a lot from when I was growing up. It was the Vietnam vets, that will work for food and stuff. So I would love to see for the stigma of homelessness and the ugly stigma of homelessness be taken off, and seeing us for who we really are: artists, doctors, teachers, and most of all, just mothers and fathers and daughters, sons. And I would love to see for the money that's being spent for homeless people be used, wisely, and stop giving it to these people who are there just for the check. Those types of people should not be working with the unhoused community, because we are there's a lot of different reasons why we're homeless, like you were starting to touch on. And so in the past, they've been trying to fit us in this one like cookie mold, and that's what the tough sheds are, and that's what these project house keys are, addressing that one type of homeless person or that one issue that this person is having and why they're homeless. But in at the end, that doesn't even really solve anything. So we need for money to be given to address the root causes of why we ended up on the streets in the first place. I know you know what that means, but for instance, myself, I was working in a nonprofit. I was a facilitator. I did policy advocacy. I was a supervisor and a case manager, and also a mother of two girls, single mother, like I said. And that was right when Bush had given us all those free stimulus money, and then handed the country over to Obama, and we had to take a like 1 million budget cut. And so in my career, it was either I get promoted to a director or I lost my job, and my job was my everything. I was like shocked, and I lost everything within like 3 months: my house, my car, my kids, my dog. I had a dog, my boyfriend, everything. And so just not being able to support myself is the reason why I'm on the streets. And then once you get in the streets, especially in Berkeley, that's a straight up vortex. It's like they don't want homeless people there, but they have all these college kids, and they have everything you need within a 6-block radius, you know. And the majority of the homeless folks in Berkeley have mental health issues and stuff. And so, and the police out there, their way to deal with homelessness is through incarceration. So I had to leave Berkeley or go to prison, you know. So I came out here and out to Oakland. But yeah, I've been in situations at the EDD office where they told my husband he would have to leave his backpack outside because it was too big to sit at the computer to look for jobs. And so I'm telling him, you're telling this man, like, do you know who you work with here, you know? And you're telling him to have the ultimatum of giving up everything he owns in his life, so he's got to go find a bush in downtown Oakland, which barely exists, to stash his backpack in, when he could clearly put it right in front of his feet, you know. So we were forced to leave. We couldn't do job searching and stuff like that at the EDD office. And, you know, so yeah, I would really love to see that money is being spent for people who genuinely care about their community and the people that they work with. Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you guys are aware or not. This is half of the people that kind of made it from from Oakland to Sacramento on bicycles, in order to try to bridge a gap that is so desperately needed. A lady told me that it was hard for her to see me as a human being as she passed me. So I guess for my short term, what I'd like to see for short term is I would like to see a collaboration happen. A meeting of the unhoused, of the city officials, of the state officials, and our supporters. Because there is a solution and there is a resolution. We've started that already. We are people that had hit rock bottom. Society failed us, and instead of accepting that, we built a gym. Not a personal gym, J-Y. A GEM, Jules, you know. So yeah, we did that, and in this building, I rediscovered my own life. I lost half my family members, and it rendered me depressed to the point to where I came out here to commit suicide. But the powers that be didn't have that in store for me. I've met these people here, and these people become my family, become my support. So short term, I would like to see the communication back, you know, with an open mind and open hearts. I would like to see that people are actually seeing and hearing us, not just asking us questions, not here, asking us questions and it stops right there. We're giving them the fabric that we need to succeed. They're not asking us what we need to succeed. We're giving them the answers, and they're doing the exact opposite of what we need. Long term, I would like to see environments in which that we are creating. I would like to see resources that wraparound services and other resources that we need to survive be filtered into these positive environments. What greater thing to be a part of is a person telling you, we know we messed up, okay, that's fair, but now, right now, we are trying to grow out of this, with the proper resources, it can thrive, and it can change people. We see teenagers so often come through there. It's because those environments that exist, they're there. And when they come through our camp, we speak them right out of there. We give them shoes, we give them coats, food. If that environment wasn't there, they'd be sucked into this rotunda way of living. So we need the long term. I'd like to see spaces like we created around, peppered throughout, everywhere. Thank you.
Kehilah Ratzon. May it be God's will.
Thank you.
And in Sukkot, we invite our ancestors into the sukkah. Abraham and Joseph and Jacob and Isaac and Aaron and Miriam and Deborah and Sarah and Rachel and Leah, and we Abigail, and we remember their great qualities. And I want to say, in contrast to that thoughtless woman who said that comment to you, that not only are you a person, are you people, but you're exemplary people. I have seen in my 56 visits out to the streets and to encampments from the people who live there, the kinds of qualities that we admire in our ancestors, that strength, that loving kindness, that resilience. So I just want to say that we see you and we appreciate you. And again, thank you so much for being here. Our final question is how housed people can best assist in the struggle. So I want to speak to that for a moment as a housed person about what we can do, and then want to pass it to you to speak more on that. A tradition as we invite in the Ushpizan, our ancestors, is, we feed people in our sukkah, right? And we are supposed to put food out for our ancestors. We are commanded to bring in the stranger and the poor into our sukkah. And if we can't do that, one of the very common modern traditions is to take the amount of money that you would have spent on a banquet for those ancestors and to donate it. And so there are a couple of places that you can do that. You can do that at the Wood Street Commons GoFundMe. That information is in the chat. And that goes directly to the individuals you see here for them to determine for themselves the best way for those funds to be spent. You can also donate to Love and Justice in the Streets. There are QR codes on the papers you see in front of you, and Earl's in the chat. And Love and Justice is an organization that Talya created and is 100% volunteer run with zero overhead. Every cent that you donate goes directly to food, tents, sleeping gear, and so forth. Another thing you can do is we have both in the chat and then here in person a flyer that was created by the Anti-Police Terror Project that has the names and phone numbers of all of the city council people and the mayor, and what it is we need to say to them about opening up land. And also, as I mentioned here at Kehilah, the Homeless Action Committee, we have a depot where you can bring goods that are on the list that's on our blog. That blog's URL is on your handout or in the chat in terms of what is most needed. and those can be brought on in the first and third weeks. The details of the days and the times are both in the chat and on the handout. And then you can know that on the second and fourth weeks of every month, those goods will go out directly to the residents you see here and the people that they are in community with. And I want to say they've done a spectacular job in sharing the wealth and setting up a place for people to come and get what they need. You could hear it in Moose's speech, but he's like 100% an environmental activist, always checking in to make sure, could we bring some compost bags as well as some garbage bags? And, so that's, so those are 3 ways that you can help. You can donate to Love and Justice or the GoFundMe. You can call your city government, and you can donate material goods to our depot. So those are some ways to help, and then I want to turn it over to our honored guests to share anything else that they have to say about what we as house people can do to support the struggle.
We like to see you guys. We really do. Positive energy, an act of kindness has changed me deeply. Like I said, I came out to not be here anymore, but an act of kindness is one of the reasons why I'm here. So we would like to invite you guys to come down to Wood Street Community Commons and let's share energy. It's a clean environment-ish. we're a work in progress, but you will be received with all of the welcome that you guys have received us, and it's greatly appreciated. I scrambled to get myself together, and as I did that, I thought, where we're going, we've got them waiting, It dawned on me after a minute, like, I should have been more prompt. I should have been more prepared. These are the people that has closed me for this little bit of time. We do appreciate that. So what you guys can do is just continue to do what you're doing and come visit us.
Also, another way that folks can help is, like I said, we're different. We're all different types of people down there. We have all different types of skills down there. So just ask. Maybe there's something that, like, there's 2 women who clean houses every day for a job. So what I'm asking for is just to engage us in your communities as well, and maybe there's skills that we can share for each other. Like Monte said, we love seeing folks down there, and we love learning new things as well too, and we can teach each other stuff. So coming down maybe and spending time volunteering doesn't always have to be monetary either. Sometimes just like lending a hand or an ear down there. We have elders down there as well, and they love to talk and stuff. So just and then also, sharing with your circles of folks, and trying, helping us let them know that we're regular people. So the thing about it is that there's this crazy communication barrier between us and the house. I call you guys housies, but between us and housies, because, and it doesn't have to be that way, even over on Wood Street, the business owners, it's like, if you don't like the way that my car is parked, just tell me. You don't have to call the police to do that, and I get it, and a lot of the negative things that are a result or that people focus on in encampments is usually stuff that's from outsiders. It's stuff that we disagree with as well, and But you would never know that if you didn't ask. Oh yeah, we did see that person that pooped over there. Yeah, that sucks. We really hate that. We're gonna try to kick him out next time he comes over here, you know. But they look at us like we do that stuff on purpose. But here's the thing: is that the business owners on Wood Street, they go home at night, you know, and we don't. And it's like we have a lot of say so when it's there's people breaking into that building. You know what I mean? We could either turn our heads or we could say, hey, stop that. That's Jim's building. You know what I'm saying? That's Jim's business. And he's a cool guy and he looks out for us out here, you know. And the same thing, I mean, I know homeless people tend to not really camp out in front of folks' residences. If you've noticed that, there's not like people in front of your houses and stuff. Maybe churches and stuff, but not houses. But just, yeah, like engaging the homeless community with, you know, things around our community together. And, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. And thank you very much for just giving us this opportunity to share with you all.
I think, like kind of we've been saying, we're our own best resources, you know. Just being here, speaking to everybody, being heard, learning about, you know, the festival and traditions. Also being present and making law enforcement agencies and individuals and politicians accountable for their actions and their legislature. If we don't agree with it, or if our rights are being trampled, if there are people there to witness it, it's less likely to happen. I mean, even just standing there and having a presence, you know, as a member of the community, and you know, watching, as she said, things that would disgust people normally happen to people right in front of your eyes. They tend to be less violent or atrocious or far-fetched, I guess, I don't know. But also, you know, if there are city council meetings or any place where people get together and talk about their communities, you know, speak out for us. Give us a chance, hear us out like we're doing today, just to understand each other and make things better for everyone as a city. Because that's the only way. I mean, we went to Sacramento and we were telling people, you know, you don't have to leave if they come here and tell you to leave. They haven't given you notice, and a lot of people didn't even know that they had that right. Or you know, if you're by yourself. Actually, this is interesting. I used to work for Caltrans. I was not work for them getting paid, but I volunteered for them. And I remember our crew leader would take us into different areas where there were people sleeping outdoors with tents, and he would wait for them to leave, and he would have us go and pick up their mattresses and throw them away. And I was like, well, this isn't really like highway cleanup, you know? we're underneath here doing this, and he's like, yeah, well, it'll keep them away for a little while. I mean, it's just, you know, a lot of judgments and stereotypes that he had, and some of the things they do. But if there are people accountable, if there are people watching, if there are people that know, it's a lot less likely to happen. So keep your eyes open and just do what's right.
So I want to invite housed people to join in speaking out right now. Today, people from Wood Street were again evicted. Right now, the city of Oakland is still on Wood Street evicting people who were evicted already by Caltrans. The people who were in the lot at 34th and Mandela have been scattered from this morning, and there is land sitting empty right now that could be used. There's a lot that's owned by Caltrans that's already leased by the city of Oakland across the street from where people had gone. And that lot used to be a safe RV site. but they closed it down and kicked everyone out. So we need to immediately be putting pressure on Mayor Libby Schaaf and City Administrator Ed Riskin to be making calls and emails tonight and tomorrow to tell them to open that land to everyone. There's a lot of city-owned land that could be used. There's 22 acres of vacant land around the corner from Wood Street, sitting empty for years and years and years right now. Council member Carol Fife, who represents the district in West Oakland where Wood Street is located, has been pushing to use this land, and she's being undermined by the city administration and the mayor. Next Tuesday, October 18th, is a city council meeting, and we need everyone who can to show up on Zoom and to speak in favor of Councilmember Fife's resolution to open up 8 acres of that land for what could be more permanent solutions, that where leaders of Wood Street could be working together with their solutions to use this public land for public good. So we need people to be paying attention, and we need people to be showing up and speaking out. The more of us that do that, the more pressure they feel. Right now is an election season. People are running for mayor, people are running for city council, and we need to show them that we're watching and that it's unacceptable what's going on. Right now, the city could be putting resources into providing water, electricity, sanitation, showers, fire safety to Wood Street and to encampments across Oakland. This is not happening, and this is about political will. There are hundreds of people who are living in the Wood Street encampment who just got pushed. I saw 3 porta potties by the Commons where you all are, and there are hundreds of people.
That we share with the park goers too.
Right, and that are shared with the park across the street and all the, people who are playing sports. This is unacceptable. We need to be making calls, and we need to be speaking out right now. The encampment management policy was passed in 2020, and this policy is cruel and inhumane, as the United Nations would say. This policy criminalizes people for existing across our city. We need to be electing officials who will repeal this policy and uphold people's human rights. The encampment management policy was sponsored by Lauren Taylor, who is running for mayor currently and who is endorsed by Mayor Libby Schaaf. I urge you to learn before you make your vote. I think that's the last thing that I want to say is that tonight on Sukkot, we have an opportunity to welcome our ancestors and people that we've lost and their spirits and their memories into our shelter of peace. And in the past week, a beloved member of the Wood Street community died. And right now we have an opportunity to help support their burial with dignity that has not yet happened, and the family of that beloved member of the Wood Street community. So I want to invite people, either if you are in the room and you have access to cash tonight that you want to share to support raising money for the burial, to offer that. And if you don't, that you could make a note on the GoFundMe, either to Love and Justice in the Streets, and make a note when you make that donation that it's for burial costs, or on the, is that okay if it's on the comment, is that all right, the Commons, to make a note when you're making a contribution that we honor a member of the community and an ancestor now. Thank you.
So usually, whenever I guess we've been speaking, I usually ask this question at the end. I'm going to ask you guys, and I want you guys to bring this question up to the people that you socialize with, hang out with, I don't know, work with. But if in your neighborhood, in your community, if the electricity was cut off, if the water was cut off, and you guys all of a sudden didn't have any trash removal service for 6 months, what do you think your neighborhood, your community would look like? I bring that up because we're being blamed so much for the conditions on Wood Street, but those are all the things that we weren't provided to be able to survive with. And people look at us like it's out of the ordinary for some reason. But if you didn't have those luxuries in life, cut off for 6 months or even less than that, for 3 months, how would you go about your daily activities, cooking, cleaning up, getting yourself prepared to be in front of people, to speak, to work? How would you get rid of all that trash, especially if you don't even have vehicles? So it's just something I would like to bring up to people. Also, I just want to say thank you guys for believing in us, asking us to come here and speak. It's an honor, really, that you guys see the potential in us, the talent that's out there. We appreciate that so much. We really do. My counterparts has summed it up really greatly with mostly everything that would help out. One more thing is, don't forget that Wood Street is just one of many encampments in Oakland and in the Bay Area, and there's a lot of smaller encampments who don't have voices like ours, with people that can stand up and fight the good fight, and they don't know how to, a lot of them. So I'm suggesting that sometimes you can always check in with us. But if you're around town and you see other encampments, it's okay to drop off water with them or drop off clothing or other things that they might need that we might have, because we're doing pretty good. I mean, we could always use more, because of people, but we're just saying, don't forget about all the other people that are out there. We're just 300 out of 5,000 in Oakland. And for that matter, in the Bay Area, just tens of thousands of people that need this type of support. So we want you guys to make sure that you also support other people out there too. And that's what we're trying to do. And with your support, we could probably help more people out too. So thank you guys.
Fantastic. I want to point out that one thing you can do as a house person and a member of Kehilah is to join the Homeless Action Committee. And that here at Kehilah, we are in Piedmont, and I do attend the City Planning Commission meetings for Piedmont whenever it is they have housing on the docket. I was there on Juneteenth and pointed out that this is a racial justice issue. In Piedmont, 100 years ago, less than 1% of Piedmont's residents were Black. And now, in 2022, less than 2% of Piedmont's residents are Black. So homelessness is a racial justice issue. 24% of Oakland is African American, and 70% of the unhoused are African American. It's an economic justice issue, that this is a product of late stage capitalism. So I just want to call that out and to say that we would very much welcome you on the Homeless Action Committee, even if you have an hour a month, however it is you want to plug in. If you don't feel comfortable going out into the streets, that's not a problem. We need people to show up at city council meetings. If you want to go out and meet people, that's great. We'll accompany you and help you figure out the lay of the land. And I want to say that I have been received with nothing but kindness and respect when I have come out in a variety of encampments. And I believe that is what you can expect as well when you join us in the Homeless Action Committee and begin this vital work. We have actually come to the end of our time, but I do want to check in and see if there is there anyone here in person who has a question? Yes. This is the chair of an important member of our Economic Justice Committee, Karen Rachels, who's going to speak. If I can untangle this cord.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen. Thank you all so much for coming and being so gracious with sharing your stories. I'm really touched, and hope that we can continue to be of support for you. This initial part of my question I'm going to address to Kehilah members. We're not allowed as a Kehilah, as a nonprofit, to advocate for any particular candidates, but I'm assuming we can ask the people, our guests, who they are supporting for mayor and city council. Is that correct?
Sure.
Great. Would you mind saying who you support for mayor and city council? Because you're not part of Kehilah, and you can say that.
I haven't really been paying attention, but I know it's not Ruby Chapter.
Well, howdy.
Joyce, I heard that she's full of.
I'm not endorsing anybody. All the candidates are always promising things that they can't deliver. I would endorse somebody who would say that they don't know what the hell's going on. They don't know what they're going to do. It has to be a community effort. So I don't believe any of the candidates up there. I'm sorry, but I'm not endorsing any of them.
You know, Carol Fife used to come out and meet with us. So, like, literally, she would come out. Like, that's the one champion, I would say, of Oakland. Like, bring her big old security guards, her big old dogs, you know, just in case anything. She wouldn't come at night. But, I mean, she came, like, a lot and would come out and literally talk one-on-one with us. And she would send her, like, assistant, I don't know exactly, Daniel, Justin. Daniel. Sorry, I hope he's not watching. But I mean, that just shows in itself that she's like not a puppet like politicians tend to be a lot. And you know, but she was awesome and is awesome. She still fights with us and keeps her word, you know. I would support her.
I'd say definitely not Seneca Scott. No, please. Unlike John, I do believe in doing my due diligence, so I do not have an answer yet for that, though. I will be doing some investigations and some studyings before I do my due diligence in voting. I do every time. But I guess it'll be anyone that has a heart. For everyone, not just for us, but for everyone, because we are all connected. It took a cosmos, I tell people, to make us. All of those pullings and attractions that took to build me, it took to build everyone on this planet. So anyone that has anything to do with forward lateral movement for this planet and the planets outside of this one. You guys asked what you guys can do for us. I have a lot of skills. I had ADHD growing up as a kid. My parents didn't give me medications. What they did was they put me to work. They taught me a lot of things. So if you need anything from us, please don't hesitate to ask. We are homeless, but we do manage quite all right. And so we have skills that can be offered and lent to you guys as well, okay? We really do appreciate this snazzy jacket and this tie. So much so that I am lending my services to you guys.
Thank you so much. Are there any burning questions from our Zoom audience? Well, we've all turned to look at you. We've covered a lot here, so no worries if not. Thank you to everyone who has made time in their evening to come, either in person or by Zoom, and thanks so very much to our honored guests. Let's give them a hand. You can reach us at unsheltered@kehilahsynagogue.org if you think of a question later. Good night. Chag Sameach.